A few years ago, if you were to tell someone VR was gonna change the world in just a few more years, they'd probably look at you like you're crazy and forget about it in the next few minutes. For a while now, VR has been kind of viewed as nothing more than a gimmick, especially with phone VR once being the most popular form of getting into VR. There really was no true reason to get excited for VR like the movies had all promised us. Even today, you have many news articles and news outlets discrediting how big VR has really gotten, and it hurts for the general masses who just really aren't into the subject. But fortunately and obviously, that is changing. Facebook is one of the major players who have taken the technological rug and ripped it right under the world's feet by offering us this little nifty device. The Oculus Quest 2 is the younger brother of the Oculus Quest 1. Releasing in 2019, the Quest 1 was the first true headset to offer a real virtual reality experience without the need of a computer or even a phone. Everything you needed was built right into the headset itself. This helped in completely eliminating a hurdle that many people to this day still face. Now, you don't need the latest and greatest to run VR, but just having to build it or buy one definitely isn't cheap, especially today's current market for PC parts alone and the fact that pre-builts have risen in price. For a long time, it was just a very niche thing, but with that being said, with the Quest 2 releasing, people have really started to take advantage of not needing anything to use this headset. VR usage has boomed as of recently and has really started to see itself used more and more in day-to-day households. And it's not just that, but many companies themselves have even started adopting Quest 2s into their environment to help them further their work and research. And it's not even just Quest specifically, which is the best part. The reason for that being so good is that it offers many companies a chance to see how great virtual reality can benefit them in the long run. And it creates more funding and even competition for the world of virtual reality, giving the chance for more companies to step in and actually create a competitor to the Oculus Quest 2. And we all know competition breeds innovation. Now, I'm sure most of you already are aware of this. The Quest 2 is one of, if not the most talked about headset to date, and there are countless channels already that have talked about why this little device is so great. Heck, even I have a video not too long ago talking about it, so I don't think I have to go ahead and repeat myself on everything that's so great about it. So try not to bore you. The same details you probably had spat at you 100 times by now. Qualcomm XR2 chipset, 1832 by 1920 pixels per eye and one LCD panel, with it sitting at 90 to 120 Hz depending on what setting you choose, yada yada yada. Essentially what is becoming the norm for standalone headsets nowadays. And for those of you who are still a bit new and basically have no idea what I just said, just know basically you're getting the latest and greatest for what can be put in a standalone headset. And after owning a Quest 2 for a full year now, I think it's pretty safe to say that I know my way around this thing. And I just kind of want to go ahead and look back at not only my experience, but just kind of everything that everybody who's owned a Quest 2 has been able to experience. So I just want to go and take a look back on this year of not only my experience, but the experience many others have had with owning a Quest 2 so far. Just kind of a recap seeing what's happened from launch to today. And normally you would probably think that 1 year really isn't enough time to say that a lot has happened, but in the world of technology, 1 year can feel like a lifetime of innovation. So let's go ahead and take a look. The day is September 16th, 2020. Oculus has just announced the Oculus Quest 2 at their Oculus Connect. This is great news for the world of VR, not so great for people who just ordered their Quest 1 the year before like I did. This headset was cheaper, smaller, and yet offering way more power as compared to the Quest 1. Some people were definitely a bit skeptical, some were upset of a newer device already phasing out their current one, but overall there was a pretty great reaction to this announcement. And in less than a month's time, the sequel to an already great headset would have already been in our hands. Now for me, I kinda wasn't sure at first if I was gonna go ahead and pick up this headset, especially considering they did say the battery life was gonna be shorter, but I ended up pre-ordering it on a whim and was able to secure one on launch day. And from first impressions, I wasn't the biggest fan. Now it isn't because of the internals, besides the battery life. I'm still upset about that to this day. It completely had to do with everything on the outside. The material felt way cheaper in comparison to the last Quest. The default head strap that came with the headset that is still used to this day is considered horrendous by most, doesn't offer any proper weight distribution at all. And it doesn't help someone like me with a little bit of a bigger head shape and a little bit more distance in between my eyes, because they decrease the IPD. And when I put it on, I can instantly tell a difference. My IPD sits at around 70 and the Quest 2 only goes up to 68 max. So it's not the worst, not a deal breaker, but definitely was something I noticed and something I still unfortunately noticed to this day. And this is more of a nitpick, but I did prefer the Quest 1 controllers. I preferred the smaller, lightweight feel to them. Overall, the comfort wasn't the best thing on the headset. And I feel like comfort is a big thing when it comes to virtual reality, because virtual reality is all about immersion. Now, on the other hand, that's the battery. I was instantly blown away by how clear just the visuals were alone when I first put on the Quest 2. I had charged up my Quest 1 just to compare and side by side as soon as I got my Quest 2. and it was really night and day between the two. And as someone with glasses, it was even more apparent because when I took off my glasses and played on the Quest 1, not to say it had a bad display, but I definitely did notice some blurriness. But my point being that when I use the Quest 2, I don't feel like I need to wear my glasses. The clarity I have sometimes when I'm staring at this headset is truly remarkable. Overall, the higher pixel count really decreased my need for glasses in VR. The outside definitely did leave a sour taste in my mouth, but slowly and surely I did start warming up to the Quest 2. Especially with the sheer amount of updates we got with this headset. It was truly a remarkable year. We got 90 to 120 Hz added because that wasn't there at launch. They then added AirLink for wireless PC VR gameplay, although there were already third-party apps that did allow for that. Keyboard, desk, couch, and improved hand tracking to make things like doing work in VR so much easier than they were before. There were definitely apps that always existed for it, but that boundary in between your real-life world and the virtual world was always right there. But with these improvements, they definitely did make working a whole lot easier, as I've tested it myself multiple times. I gotta say, I can truly see working in virtual reality a viable experience now. Needs some tweaking, but it'll definitely get there. They added the ability to put multiple accounts on one headset, which was requested since the Quest 1, and you can even share apps with those same accounts. A voice assistant, screen recording while capturing your mic, finally, using multiple 2D apps at once, so now I can look at maybe leaderboards and stuff while I have YouTube on another panel, or Spotify just playing something in the back. Also allows me to look in the browser and work while I have music in the back. And one of my personal favorites, App Lab. Now I've said it before and I'll say it again, things like App Lab and side quests really do help establish the Quest 2 as a very prominent device. The amount of love and dedication you can find on these third-party apps is genuinely insane. And although it's great to have a AAA experience, some of the best games on Quest are from these indie developers. And I'm happy Oculus and Facebook do take some steps to help boost them into the light. And that isn't even everything to date. That's just most of the stuff I can think of at the top of my head. But it is crazy to me to think there was a time where we didn't have any of these. There were definitely some features that launched with the Quest 1, like Oculus Link, which allows you to connect your headset to your PC and it becomes a PC VR headset, and hand tracking in general. The Quest 2 just simply improved upon it. But overall, Quest 2 receives loads of more things in its lifetime than the Quest 1 did, and it's really done nothing more but improve the headset. Now, this isn't to say that the Quest 2 has been perfect through its whole life. There have definitely been some hiccups here and there from Facebook. One of probably the most prominent thing is the fact that Facebook at one time did promise you were never going to need a Facebook account to use the Quest 1, and then they dropped the Quest 2 and said you needed it for that device. Now, personally, I'm not too bothered by it, but I know there are some people who really do care about that. It really does sadden me that there's many people to this day that won't be able to experience it or have just put their headset down completely because they don't want to be locked into needing a Facebook account in order to use the virtual reality headset. Another thing is they were going to try and start adding ads into games that you already paid for, which is something nobody likes. There was definitely a lot of backlash from it, but Facebook did make it so now they can choose if they do or don't want ads in their game. There's some practices that can either be a little scummy or just really keep you within the Facebook ecosystem. In my opinion, nothing too deal breaking, although like I said earlier, some people are definitely going to disagree with that statement entirely. But I don't think most people would disagree with the fact that there have been more highs than lows for the Quest 2 in the 365 days that it's been on this earth. It's actually kind of astonishing. Although there still are some drawbacks here and there that haunt the Quest to this day that Facebook has sort of tried to remedy, and I'm talking about on the headset itself. Now, to be fair, the Quest 2 was $100 cheaper than its older brother at launch, but to ensure that, Facebook unfortunately did have to sacrifice some things to do that. And that's why I had mentioned earlier it felt a lot more cheaper and even had a lower capacity battery, both of which can be fixed, but it is still a bit disheartening knowing some people may be completely turned off by the Quest when they first get it, depending on either how uncomfortable it is for them or how short the battery life annoys them. And that is why whenever I encourage my friends to get a Quest 2, I make sure to tell them about the bountiful amount of third-party solutions that they can use to make their Quest not only last longer but have a longer lasting comfortable experience. And so let's go ahead and get right into those. So like I said earlier, the default head strap that came with the Quest is beyond atrocious. If Facebook's main goal was to implant Oculus Quest on anyone who doesn't have a smaller head size, then they definitely become very close to fulfilling that desire. This is one thing I've always suggested to get removed immediately because it can absolutely kill your immersion and joy if you have an uncomfortable headset. Like I said, the weight distribution is horrible. Always either feels not tight enough or somehow just always too tight, and you just can't fix that. Now, there are some people who do find the head strap comfortable. With that being said, it makes me even happier that when I pre-ordered my headset, I went ahead and got the official Oculus Elite head strap with battery when I pre-ordered, and I really don't think I was going to be using the Quest 2 for that much longer if I didn't already know I was going to get another head strap. And I'm sure there are many who share that sentiment that just don't want to use the Oculus Quest Quest 2 with the default head strap. And so may I introduce cheap third-party alternatives. And I know I said cheap, but some of these certainly don't seem like it. The first one I'd like to introduce to you is Robo, the Robo VR N2 head strap. Now personally, I don't own this head strap, but I do have 2 friends that do, and I've yet to hear one bad thing about it. It has, at least to my knowledge, completely alleviated the problems they had with the default head strap. It has allowed both of them to finally have those long VR sessions that they had already dreamed of. Now there are tons of quality offerings that you can find from other retailer sites. Personally, this is just the one me and my friends can vouch for. But if you wish to, do please do some more research and find something that's more to your liking. And now about that
sweet succulent battery.
This on the back of my headset is the VR Power 2. This is a little bit more on the expensive side, going around 70 to 80 US dollars, and you don't have to get that one in particular. There are ones that have the same amount of capacity and perform the same. But the main thing about this and other batteries is that you can extend your Quest's battery life from 2 hours to 8 playing games, 10 if you're just watching stuff. Imagine being on a long flight but also wanting your own personal theater at the same time. Well, bam, now you can with your own Quest theater and the battery keeping you going the whole flight through. Not to mention, it actually makes the default head strap somewhat usable. I know I was just ragging on it earlier, but I actually found myself being rather comfortable. And this isn't even the tip of the iceberg. You have stuff for your controller. I didn't even touch on the Oculus Quest 2's facial interface problem. Long story short, default one gave people rashes and irritations, and that's why they called them back. I talked about it in my last video, and they sent them out with the new silicone face cover. And so like I just said, now you have options for when you're choosing out your Quest. However, that leads me to my next talking point and the big elephant in the room. And this elephant is rapidly approaching, and if this video releases on time, should only be a few weeks away, and that is the next Quest model. But before we get there, we can't go any further without first mentioning our sponsor. And this video is brought to you by Rage. I'm just kidding, I'm not sponsored. Raid, if you see this, please sponsor me. On October 28th, Facebook will be hosting their annual Connect event, where they take the time to announce any new hardware or software that they've been cooking up in the Facebook Reality Labs. What was once Oculus Connect 8 is now called Facebook Connect. I kind of preferred the original name personally, but anyways. Now, if you haven't been following any developments, there is a new headset on the Facebook horizon, no pun intended. It is often referred to as either the Quest Pro or the Quest Plus, not necessarily a whole generation upgrade like the Quest 2 was itself, but a headset that genuinely does have some crazy improvements for real VR enthusiasts. From what I remember, the headset should be receiving face and eye tracking, new controllers without the need of a tracking ring, allowing you basically to move your hands anywhere you want and they'll still be tracked completely. Improved cameras on the headset for color pass-through and better visual clarity, and who knows what else we'll be getting. I do know that it's supposed to be more comfortable, something like that. That's the main priority to me. We won't really know until Facebook Connect though. I know what I really look forward to is seeing how games run on the Quest Pro. The one thing I've somehow completely forgot to mention is that a lot of the games that already existed with the Quest 1 or came out during the Quest 2 have been able to have better visual quality and a higher frame rate just because of the internals of the Quest 2. And the Quest 2 isn't even at its max potential. It just doesn't have the best cooling units, so it can't be pushed any farther than a certain amount. Now, like I said, it's most likely not going to be a whole new generational upgrade. It is still offering a chance for games to be pushed even farther on a standalone space, and that is what I'm looking forward to. What I'm also really excited to hear is if Facebook will be talking about their plans for expanding the Metaverse. The Metaverse, for those who don't know, is Facebook's first step into a world very similar to Ready Player One. Not just a hub for gaming, it's something that can affect everyone and everything in their day-to-day life. Being able to work, build, meet, consult, play, all in a virtual and augmented space. And with COVID and Delta being on the rise still, working from home is still just as important, and Facebook is taking the charge into a new world where we can mix our reality into a virtual plane. And to some, that's definitely going to be really scary, but to me, it's a dream I've had ever since I was a young kid. Unfortunately, we're already seeing Facebook take some of their first steps into it with things like Horizon Workroom. Now remember, this is just the first step in a ever-evolving virtual ecosystem, so I wouldn't necessarily say take this as a true glance into what is possible. However, this app was designed for people to do things they normally do at work completely at home, all in a virtual space. Having meetings, working on their computers, showing plans, sharing data, writing on boards. It's genuinely a really small and cool step into a world that's going to take years to develop. And I think the most shocking thing to me is how open Facebook is to having other companies and players help grow this billion-dollar idea. But it is good they realize this is an endeavor they can't do by themselves. I, for one, cannot wait to see it along its humble beginnings. beginnings. Whew, that was a lot. That was definitely more of an experience and looking into the future than it was a review for last year. I definitely was able to talk about some important points in my opinion, but I guess this is just everything that's happened in the last year. Basically, the things that have been leading up to this is what has made me want to jot all this down and talk about it for this video. I didn't really just want to make another review. The video I made basically a few months ago is already that. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As you guys can tell, I am really looking forward to the future of VR, and I'm even considering somewhat shifting my content more towards that side, because it is genuinely something I love talking about, but really that's a topic for another time. Okay, I gotta go edit this up. I'm severely worried about the runtime. Anyways, thank you for everyone who stuck by all the way to the end of the video. You get a dev pog and a big kiss on the cheek. If you want to catch me live on Twitch, the link is in the description, and if you want to pop by my Discord to ask me any questions or say hi or anything like that, it's in the description as well. Other than that, guys, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel, help me grow a little bit more. And yeah, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.